South Africa is on the brink of the biggest shakeup to healthcare since '94, and most people don't realize what's coming. So today we're unpacking what the NHI Act really means, why 121 police dockets are sparking a showdown inside SAPS, and how MSC's new rail deal could help steady South Africa's shaky logistics. Plus, in the Wildcard, we reveal the centuries-old Cape Town ritual that still shocks tourists on a daily basis. My friends, if you're enjoying the show, be sure to like and subscribe. And now, without further ado, let's get into it. So as we mentioned, South Africa is on the brink of the biggest shakeup to healthcare in over 3 decades, and most people don't actually realize what's coming. So it's called the National Health Insurance, and if it goes ahead, it will completely change how you see a doctor, buy medicine, or even get surgery. So like most ideas, it sounds simple. One giant government-controlled fund that pays the medical bills for every South African, whether you're in a state hospital or a private clinic. This means no more medical aid swipes or co-payments. Now the catch here is that Price Metrics estimates that it would need an extra R500 billion a year to run, which is roughly a 30% rise in our income tax rates. And bear in mind, this is in a country where our government nearly splits over a 0.5% VAT rise earlier this year. Critics as well say that the math just doesn't add up. Either taxes soar or money is pulled from other services, pushing South Africa closer to fiscal collapse. Now the thing is, in a perfect world, this might work, but this is the same state that runs Eskom, Transnet, Denel, and SAA, all propped up by bailouts and just riddled with corruption. And now it wants to manage the single fund responsible for the health of our entire country. And so that's why groups from business lobbies to doctors' associations are in court, calling this act unaffordable, unconstitutional, and just rushed through parliament. So the dream here is universal healthcare, right? But the question is whether the state has the means, the rights, or the track record to deliver it. So South Africa's police drama over these political killings all comes down to one thing: 121 criminal dockets. You see, these files were removed from the KZN task team after Police Commissioner Umkhanazi accused senior cops of meddling. He said that suspended Deputy Shadrack Sibia took them on orders from the police minister, effectively stalling the case. Now, of course, both men deny it, but the claims were explosive enough that President Ramaphosa placed the minister on special leave and set up a commission to investigate. So now that happened a couple of weeks back, so why has there been an uproar this weekend? I'll tell you, it's because our National Police Chief, Fanny Masemola, has suddenly announced that those same dockets with potential evidence of political killings are being sent back to the task team before the commission has even started to investigate. So now that's the dilemma here. Because on the surface, returning these files looks like SAPS is choosing transparency. But critics, including the president and our acting police minister, says it risks the opposite, potentially tampering with key evidence and undermining the inquiry itself. So, in closing, the dockets are back. The question is whether we can trust what's in them. So the world's biggest shipping company, MSC, has just been cleared to run trains in South Africa, and that's bigger news than it sounds. You see, for years, Transnet's rail network has been falling apart. Fewer trains, copper theft, and just collapsing infrastructure. Now, to fix it, government has finally opened up the tracks to private operators, letting 11 companies run their own trains on Transnet's rails. So most names are small or niche, but MSC is different. I mean, it already dominates global shipping, and crucially, it's about to become South Africa's only direct shipping lifeline to the United States. You see, Maersk, its main rival, is pulling out of that route from October, forcing cargo through Europe and adding days of delivery time. So that means that MSC is now not just moving our exports by sea, but by rail too. And in a shaky logistics system, having one of the heavyweights plugged into both can be a rare bit of stability. And before we move on to our Bagel Bite of the day, here's a couple other headlines worth knowing. For starters, Truworths is investing 550 million rand to expand trading space and roll out more standalone mini emporium stores. But in saying that, their profits are down nearly 30% as weak demand, markdowns, and tough credit conditions bite into performance. Ford will retrench nearly 500 workers at 2 of its local plants, citing falling demand. This follows job cuts at Mercedes-Benz, Goodyear, and other automakers as South Africa's motor industry struggles with a global slowdown. And the Springboks have recalled veteran scrum half Faf de Klerk for the New Zealand tour. You see, his experience adds depth ahead of Eden Park, where Interestingly enough, South Africa hasn't beaten the All Blacks since 1937, a daunting historic hurdle indeed. And on to our much anticipated bagel bite of the day. Let's see what you got. The question is, what is the rarest color found in country flags? Is it A, black, B, purple, or C, orange? Bonus points if you know how many flags have this color. And on to our wildcard section. Every day in Cape Town, without fail, the city gets a reminder that it's lunchtime in the form of a cannon blast. You see, the noon gun on Signal Hill has been firing almost daily since 1806, making it one of the oldest time signals in the world that's still in operation. So originally, this wasn't about theatrics. You see, back in the day, ships in Table Bay used the blast to set their chronometers, which are these precision clocks that sailors relied on to calculate their positions at sea. Now, if your chronometer was even a few seconds off, you could end up hundreds of kilometers off course. So over 2 centuries later, the tradition still runs under the Navy's watch. You see, at exactly midday, gunners trigger the shot electronically from the Castle of Good Hope. And there are actually 2 cannons on Signal Hill, one always loaded as a backup in case the main gun failed. So apart from Sundays and public holidays, it's fired with near perfect reliability, sometimes startling tourists who think something's exploded downtown. But for Cape Townians, it's simply the city's loudest and most dependable lunchtime clock. And as for that bagel bite, the answer is purple, the rarest color found on national flags. Now, Dominica and Nicaragua definitely have it, with some debates over whether Spain and El Salvador count because the color shades are arguable. Now, interestingly enough, the reason it's so scarce is because for centuries, purple dye was made from thousands of crushed sea snails, making it one of the most expensive substances on Earth. So kings could afford it, but flag makers couldn't. So purple never really became a common banner color. And my friends, that's it for today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in until the very end. I hope you guys all have a cracker start to the week. Be kind to one another, and I'll catch you all same time tomorrow. Cheers.